Yeah. Well, that's how you were, but like right when you turn, yeah, or you go market, you know, yeah, that's there, along the shoulder, wide open. Yeah, I really parking in front of this, because they painted the whole thing red for us. Yeah. I just didn't want to take it off. Yeah, it's still cops. I did this the one day, and it's really all. Yeah, it was like 4 cops there, and I was there, I came back and all. Oh, yeah. Way up in the middle. Right, like almost it's all of us. Yeah, yeah, I was just like worried. Yeah, I was worried too. There's nowhere to go. And then even our spots are taken up by. Yeah, I can't tell you that's not fun. Well, it's technically also the whatever. Right. They do. Then there are other people who are just like stopping for a few minutes. Oh, yeah. Like, oh yeah, I'm just running into City Hall. And all the market there, all the labor and their goods. Right, yeah, they gotta get there, they gotta pull up the market. Right, true. But. Yeah. Yeah, I just didn't know. I never left that. Yeah, the lake was, I just stayed there and I didn't, I don't know. Or not, so I stayed here. Yeah. So he had to go back. Saturday. Was he sick? Yeah. Yeah. He was low. Then there was like some security person, she arrested him yesterday. He had 14 credentials. Like our stuff. Oh, good. She was like trying to see who was, because we had our cameras with us, they couldn't do it. Yeah. She came up to him. Yeah. Ellen. Good to be like that baby. Yeah, really. All over. What are you saying? Yeah. Talking about security coming up to you yesterday. I mean, we weren't even in she just had nothing to do with it. That's true. And Heather. She was like, hey, this last time I went there, I went to the wrong check-in spot. So I can see everybody walking by right beyond the checkpoint. They wouldn't come out and get me. I'm like standing there, it's like, I'm right here, and they're like, yeah, how you doing? And then they all the stations.
One of the really positive lessons of 2025 is that when we work with our justice partners, and we have done so more and more effectively over the years, especially effectively this year, public safety is promoted, freedom is promoted, democracy is protected. It's a wonderful thing. When we talk about safety, we generally talk about the number of homicides, the number of violent crimes, sometimes number of property crimes, and that's really important. And the good news is that we will be setting a record for the lowest number of homicides in over 50 years this year. But the experience of individuals who've lost their loved one to homicide, the experience of a victim of sexual assault, we have to always be very mindful that their experience, their individual experience, may not look anything like the big picture, that their trauma is real, their suffering, their struggle, their challenges are real.
He just was a lovable kid. Like, he'd be stubborn just like any other kid. And he brought a lot of joy to his great-grandmom, his grandmom, especially his twin aunt, Elaine. So that's like the joy you just miss, like, and hearing his laughter.
Come on, Nana. Nana.
Even though the crime rate is down, we had 2 mass shootings in a 4-day period this summer. And that volume of people harmed not just the people who were directly killed or shot, but all of the neighbors who were involved, all the community that was impacted. That is more work than any of us could do alone.
Violence prevention has to be an early intervention. We got to reach them a lot of times before they make these decisions and show them that here you have a choice that you can make. What you guys do right now today and tomorrow is going to impact the next week, the next month. The more you put into it, the more you're going to have on the back end. For me, being an ex-offender myself, I know that I made bad choices. I know what the circumstances and consequences of my choices were. But I know that I also made good choices, and I look at the circumstances and consequences of those good choices.
Almost 40 years ago, I was accused of a crime by this office, and I was tried and convicted, sentenced to life. I served 31 and a half years. To be back in an office that has a lot of decisions in the criminal justice system in the city of Philadelphia, to be part of that decision-making process where we could potentially be helping another young brother or sister from ending up in prison, serving life because of our participation in this office.
There's not one single factor that's likely driving murder lower in Philadelphia or in the nation, but a combination of factors. The ability to understand what the drivers of our crime trends are and the ability to respond and to develop policies is incredibly important.
Public safety means that people's basic needs are met. They are not living in extreme deprivation. They are not desperate. They do not do desperate things to other people. We have done our part, and we're going to keep doing our part, but there's more to do.
Which is what you're supposed to do. jump out, because if it's going down, guess what? Shredded. Yeah, there is some way. Yeah, there's some, yeah, so that's what I've heard. Not that I could grab the controls and do that. I think he's along for the ride. Yeah, they just landed at an airport at the reference. I guess they took off. They did that way. Yeah. Dangerous out. Yep. Expensive. Yeah. Yeah, we're all over. And they want pretty far out. And then they at least the knee. That's where all the blueberries are, right? Those are blueberry farms out there? Yeah. Oh, really? That's when you know you've done it to yourself and you say that it'll be easy.
Yeah, there it is. Okay. Because we know.
Unfortunately, I'm working hard today. Work hard every day. Not a day that you don't work hard.
Occupied my house for her friends. For her friends.
Ant, do we have your mic? It's up here? Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. All right, you ready? All's good. Good morning, and thank you all for being here on New Year's Eve 2025. We are here for two primary reasons, and we're going to move fairly quickly. It is a big day, and the two primary reasons are to remind all Philadelphians of how important it is not to be dangerous, not to be foolish on New Year's Eve. There have been far too many tragedies from people who are driving intoxicated, far too many tragedies from people firing weapons in the air. This ain't the movies. These are not cap guns. What goes up comes down. And it has come down in ways that are truly tragic in the past. We cannot have that. So it is on all of us not to do it, and it's on all of us to tell other people not to do it when Jack Daniels tells them otherwise. It's on all of us, and we are here to gather for that reason. But we're also here, and we are here in collaboration. As you can see, we're here because this has been a remarkable year. I would like to think it's not the last time that we are all able to get together and say that we have set a record for the lowest number of homicides in over 50 years, that we are setting records across the board in terms of gun violence, and we are setting records as well when it comes to low levels of incarceration. At the same time, I'd like to think this is not the last year we're going to do it, but I would be foolish if I did not admit that this is such a remarkable achievement this year, accomplished by so many people outside of government and inside of government, that there's a chance that we're not going to outdo these records in the future. And it's on all of us, as we will discuss, to do everything we can to do even better in the years that are coming. Having said that, I want to be real clear. This has also been a year of tremendous pain for a lot of families who have lost a loved one or suffered the results of a truly terrible crime. Trauma is real, and there's nothing to celebrate, even if it is a low number. There's nothing to celebrate about 220 people losing their lives to homicide, others suffering terrible losses from shootings, from sexual assaults, and from other heinous crimes. There's nothing to celebrate there. But certainly, we're happy at how many people have not been victimized, which is demonstrated with the numbers. I am joined today by some of my favorite people and favorite institutions. We have with us Philadelphia City Council member Curtis Jones Jr. of the 4th Council District. He is also the chairman of City Council's Public Safety Committee. or as I like to call him, Batman. We have with us Philadelphia Sheriff Rochelle Bilal. I'm not even going to come up with a nickname for her because she does so well with her own phrases that I wouldn't want to interfere with that. We have Chief Inspector Winston Singletary with us, who is with Policy Planning and Special Events Bureau in the Philadelphia Police Department. Tania Leonard, Director of DAO's CARES Unit, is here, and we have Giriana Hernandez, Assistant Director of External Victim Services Partnerships at the DAO's Victim Services Unit. I'm going to get out of the way here for a moment so that we can start with Chief Inspector Singletary, then hear from Sheriff Bilal, then hear from Councilmember Jones, and then I will get up after that. I do want to say one thing, though, which probably is not the most important thing, but I think it's kind of interesting. There are some people up here who are some of the most entertaining and humorous people I know, as you're going to find out in a minute. And you can look at that and say, well, that's fluffy, that's irrelevant, that don't matter. Yes, it does. There is something about humor and the ability to make people laugh that is unifying. We're in extremely divided times. Yes, we can talk about really serious, important topics, but we can also do it in a way that breaks down the barriers between us. That's what laughter does. So, among others, I have found Councilmember Jones to be someone who almost can't walk away from being interesting and entertaining and serious all at the same time. It is my pleasure at this time to call forward Chief Inspector Singletary, and as I said previously, after that the sheriff, after that the council member, and then I will get up, say a few words, and we'll go to Q&A.
Good afternoon. Well, morning still. As DA said, the Philadelphia Police will be increasing throughout the night for focusing on IDing any individuals out here with celebratory gunfire. It's reckless, endangers innocent people, and won't be tolerated. We also will be out there actively looking for impaired drivers. So in this day and age, we should never have any impaired drivers. You have Uber, Lyft, and anything else you can do. But we will have a detail out on the streets at night for any folks that are out here driving, so everybody can have a great new year. And as he said, our numbers are doing great as we are, and we like to keep them that way. So just remember, whatever you fire up comes down somewhere. So we will have people out there to arrest folks out here doing that. And if you're out partying, remember, look out for a friend. Drinking and driving is just as bad as a gunshot. And if you're driving down the street, we are going to have enforcement out here, out on the streets for DUIs and impaired driving. So with that, I'll turn it over to the sheriff. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Rochelle Bilal, Sheriff for the City and County of Philadelphia. We come together again at the end of the year to say the same thing all the time. Don't shoot guns up in the air. Just don't. They come down and somebody can get hurt, innocent people, children, and maybe your loved one. So I want to do this. I'm pleading that let's make this end of the year going into a new year a year where nobody shoots a gun up in the air. And then we won't have to have this press conference about telling you not to do it. We won't have to have this press conference about saying you don't want this smoke up in here if we catch you doing it. So let's not. Let's celebrate, be joyous, have a good time, knowing that you are going into 2026 still standing. Just don't. Don't shoot up in the air. Thank you.
So we were in the green room trying to decide how all of these things happened at the same time, that we have lower numbers of people in prison, lower numbers of fatal shootings, lower numbers of crime in some major categories, and how could this all happen and converge at once? And the only thing I could come up with is that recently, in the last administration to now, people are in rooms pointing at problems, trying to point at solutions as opposed to pointing at each other, blaming them. I see the difference. The joke is I'm the most tenured Democrat in city council. I guess that's what he was alluding to. But what advantage comes with that is I can see the different administrations and how they evolve to change for the better. What I will say to you is Joseph Yakovich, he was 11 years old. He was out watching the mummers practice on New Year's Eve and was shot. He is now close to 40 years old, but that did not have to happen. There were 2 officers 2 years ago at the 4th of July celebrations. Gunshots came from the direction of North Philadelphia, and the only thing that saved them was their head cover. We should celebrate, but celebrate responsibly. Whatever happened to those little things you twisted and made that funny sound and the little horns you blew? I think they can bring in a new year a lot safer than a firearm. And I would only emphasize that it is at best a nuisance, it is at worst a murder. You do not want to be the last person to commit a homicide in 2025, and you don't want to have that on the death register in 2026. 220 families experienced homicide last year. That is down significantly from about 2 years ago, about 40%. But for those 220 families, that's 220 too many. So I want to take on the challenge of Sheriff Bilal and try to move further, better, collectively, to make it even a more joyous New Year's next year. Thank you.
Thank you all kindly for those comments. So I would like to take this opportunity to call up people from this office who work in our CARES unit just to stand here with us, because I want to be clear, this is not just about numbers, this is also about people. It's not just about the crimes prevented, it's also about the crimes that have occurred, and we have to understand that holistically. I'm going to talk about 5 P's. Progress, pain, partnerships, prevention, and people. I have now standing with me, in addition to my other colleagues whom I've already introduced, I have standing with me members of the DAO's CARES unit. As you know, the CARES unit is an innovation that came about in 2019, and its purpose is to provide intensive services to families that have suffered a loss from homicide in the first 45 days. It did not exist before this administration. It was a very bright idea from some very bright people, and this hard work goes on all the time. So as we celebrate the progress and also talk about the pain, I want them to stand here with me, because you should know who it is working so closely with these families. And any family who is feeling the pain this holiday season should understand we are here. And we are available. We have been reaching out to a lot of these families because we know what the holidays do. And we will continue to do that every day next year. So let's talk a little bit about the numbers. In the spirit of collaboration, and I think Councilmember Jones is exactly right, that there is a very, very nice level of collaboration, perhaps unlike what we had in 2017, 2018, 2019. There is a level of collaboration. There are results that are remarkable, and those things go together. But in a spirit of collaboration, let's put up the Philadelphia Police Department's publicly available sheet. Anybody can access this at home. It doesn't give all the details, but it gives a lot of the important ones, and we don't need to get into all the details. People should know that the DA's office has a lot more details on our website. You can check there as well, including details about the history of the number of homicides in the city of Philadelphia over the last 60+ years, should you want to take a closer look at that. But let's look at this first. Is this the year end? No, not quite, because all these numbers are through midnight last night, all right? We won't have a final number for homicides until tomorrow or the first few days of next year. But it's going to be close to this number, and the number that you are seeing here is, of course, 220. number you're seeing is, of course, 220 right there. Homicides as of December the 30th, 2025. If we take a look at the homicide year to date, that would be right here, meaning how many homicides have there been through this date each year in the past. In order to get a number that's anywhere close to that low, we have to go all the way back to 2013 and 2014. 2013 ended up at year's end being the record year. In the last 50 years, it was 246. We are at 220. We are probably going to end the year, it actually ended up being 247, as the full year numbers will indicate down here. But those 2 years were very, very good years in Philadelphia. It was 247 in 2013, 249 years end homicides in 2014. We are at 220. It appears that we're going to finish the year approximately 25 below the record, and that is the record for the last 50 plus years. Okay? That is remarkable, but that is not the only thing that is remarkable. Total violent crime down 9.34% as of today. Total property crime down 8.42% as of today. Can we scroll up, please? It gets a little complicated if you get into the last 2 weeks and the last 28 days, but let's just look over here because this shows results basically through midnight last night. Homicide down from last year, over 17%. Rape is up, one of only 2 categories that are up. That is disturbing, and obviously it's an issue for us to address. But be aware that the total number of rapes reported for the year are very significantly below where they were 7 or 8 years ago. There have been several years of reductions for reasons that we can talk about. Obviously an issue. Gunpoint robbery down over 22%. Robbery down over 14%. Ag assault with a gun down over 14%. I won't go through all of them, but with the exception of rape and theft from person, which I believe has to do with scams based on my conversations with law enforcement, including people here, you are seeing reductions over and over and over. Retail theft down almost 12%. And when we go down to the bottom, and these are metrics that PPD wisely started to include a couple of years ago, look at this. Shooting incidents, shooting events down 28.92% from last year. The number of shooting victims down over 15% from last year. Last year was the year, 2024, when the United States set a record for improvements in public safety. We are down from that. But I think probably the most important thing, and then I will move on because we have a lot more to talk about, is why Philly? Philly, depending on who you talk to, is either the brokest or the second brokest of the 10 largest cities in the United States. Poverty goes with crime. Ask any criminologist, always has. Okay, so then why last year were we leading the country in terms of the 10 largest cities in public safety improvements? Why do we continue to do so well? Think about this other factor. Everybody knows that the gun laws are better in New York and New Jersey than they are in Pennsylvania. Everybody knows that crime guns come through Pennsylvania and are supplied to New Jersey and New York, and they're mad, and they should be mad, because the gun laws that we have in Pennsylvania, courtesy of NRA-funded members of the Pennsylvania legislature, are terrible. Same issue they have in Chicago, almost, which is that Indiana has terrible gun laws, and all the crime guns go into Chicago through Indiana. So how is it that a broke city where there's a ridiculous number of guns available, we probably have 5 times as many guns on the street, if not 10 times, as we did 50 years ago? How is it that these records are happening? How is it that Philadelphia is clearly doing better than a lot of other cities in the top 10 or of a million or more? How is that happening when we are dragging this enormous bag of sand of poverty and this enormous bag of sand of access to guns? Well, I think some of the comments that you have heard get it right. It is for a lot of reasons. It's because of good coaches. It's because of good clergy. It's because of good neighbors. It's because of good mentors. It is because of good community-based organizations, and it is because of people in government who actually invest in human beings and who believe that if you meet the basic needs of young people, that they will go in a direction that is not shooting each other, they will not turn on each other, they will turn to each other. And so I have some thank yous to give out here, and they are, among others, to City Council for having embraced prevention and investment in prevention early and vigorously. It is to City Council. It is to, actually, City Council past and present, and it is to mayors past and present for embracing the necessity of using data to analyze gun violence, to go after gun violence. It is the Philadelphia Police Department, among other law enforcement agencies, for looking at itself and saying, maybe we need a shooting investigation group. What a great idea, to go from generalist detectives to specialized detectives, whose job it is to work all the time on, a horrific crime, which is the shooting of another human being. And we see the success that they are having very much in the same way we see the success in the DA's office that we are having with our gun violence task force and its deep dive investigations of shooting groups. You all may remember pressers where we said, "Oh, to the fore, go to the jail." Well, they did. Where we said, YBC, young bag chasers, you've been charged and you've been convicted. Well, they were. That's what happens when you have deep collaboration, grassroots criminal justice. As Sylvester Johnson, former police commissioner in Philadelphia, used to say, there is no law enforcement without grassroots law enforcement. When you have this grassroots effort combined with deep collaboration in the city among people in government, we can get some things done. And that really does matter. How about this? Men Who Care of Germantown, that's Joe Budd. As I Plant This Seed, that's Ryan Harris. The Eco Foundation, Kyle Morris. The Icons Sports League, Jasmine Smith. Trust Factor, Zach Frazier. These are all community-based organizations that, honestly, if they had to do it for free, they probably would, and they probably have. But these are all community-based organizations that for not a whole lot of dollars get a whole lot of good done. There are dozens and dozens and dozens. And in the same way, the Philadelphia DA's office has invested with microgrants in scores of these organizations after they are carefully vetted with money that basically is taken off of drug dealers and cannot be used for salaries. In the same way we have done it, the city has done it in ways that are truly meaningful in terms of prevention. There are a lot of thank yous that should be given out here. Thank yous to our Elder Justice Unit, our Organized Retail House Step Task Force. Thank yous to all these community-based organizations who were worth the investment and have paid back in enormous ways in terms of public safety to the city. There are thank yous that are owed to our friends in the FBI, DEA, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Thank you to our friend in the new president of the Fraternal Order of Police, who not only achieved record compensation increases for his members, but stands for the elevation of that profession and its integrity. And I'll tell you what I'm hearing. What I'm hearing is that the people who are coming through the academy now absolutely want to do it right all the time. They are deep believers in community policing, as is our commissioner, as is our mayor, as are the brass of the Philadelphia Police Department, and we are all together and all collectively, frankly, making each other step up and making each other do better in ways that can only help us. He's not here today, but for those of you who may have noticed, there's an op-ed, or at least an editorial, from the special agent in charge of the FBI today, who is speaking about the excellence of his collaboration with Philadelphia Police Department, among others. That's real. It is real. What the council member is talking about, this collaboration with our sheriff's office, with council, with the mayor's office, this collaboration with PPD, this collaboration with our federal partners, with the career professionals at the U.S. Attorney's Office who work with us. And by the way, some of the seats over there are filled with the behinds of our employees. We have specially assigned U.S. attorneys who are actually on our payroll, but who do cases down there that involve gun violence. This is a remarkable achievement, but it's also a real credit to collaboration and its significance. Thank you. All right. Well, I'm sure I didn't thank enough people, and I want to be clear that our job is not just to try to make the numbers improve. Our job is to put equal effort and energy into holding those accountable who do terrible things and into protecting and assisting families that have suffered terrible loss from terrible crimes. It's something we work hard every day to improve. No, we're not perfect, but we are going to try. I'll be getting into some details around the middle of January in which I lay out an agenda of specific things we're trying to do in the next term. But that is not for today. For today, it is time to turn to question and answer, and I will start with Channel 6 ABC, Mr. John Turner.
Yeah. Guess I'm wondering about the shooting last night on Bailey Street and the fact that there was an officer on scene when it took place.
Sure.
Any comments on that, or is it still too early?
Well, it is early, but I'll give you this comment, which is that I'm aware of the situation. Part of our duty is to investigate any shooting in which law enforcement discharges their weapon. This is a very active investigation, and when we know something solid to speak about, we will be happy to talk more about it at that time. But in addition to the fact that it's a sensitive investigation we don't want to jeopardize, I don't really want to get ahead of the Philadelphia Police Department on this one. They haven't chosen to comment yet, and so I'm going to respect and honor that position. Channel 10 NBC, Claudia Vargas.
I have two from NBC and then one from Telemundo, if that's okay.
Sure.
Right. In addition to the drop in homicides, there's also been an increase in clearance rates. So we spoke with the commissioner a couple of days ago. He said the clearance rate for homicide is now 82%. Curious if those cases are sticking.
Well, simply put, I can tell you, and it's available on our dashboard, if you look at the rate of success on homicide cases when they get to trial, it's very high. The complicated part of analyzing this is that there are a lot of cases that are open. And so that you don't know how they're going to come out. But when we actually look at the results at the end of the process, our conviction rate is as good or better than it was under some other prosecutors who frankly weren't so careful about whether they were putting innocent people in jail or not. We have excellent outcomes there. Cases that are cleared this year probably will not be seeing a trial until sometime next year or a couple of years down the road. That's just the nature of the work. That's kind of how it goes. The clearance rate is a remarkable and positive thing. There's some complicated math here, as I'm sure you know, which is that as the number of homicides comes down, the number of solved cases can even remain exactly the same, and the clearance rate will go up. But that's a whole complicated math thing. There is no question that Philadelphia Police Department and its detectives are doing a job that is very impressive and, in my view, better and better when it comes to solving these cases. I appreciate all the efforts that PPD has invested to do it. I did talk a little bit earlier about the SIG, the Shooting Investigation Group. That in many ways mirrors something we did that I think has also been very successful, which is certain kinds of crimes are best handled by specialization. The sharing of information among a group of detectives who work on shootings all the time, simply their being in proximity to each other, has real value. The ability to collaborate on those shootings has real value because, as we know, a shooting group may be doing shootings all over the city. And so it's just a better way to do it. We did something very similar in uniting our homicide unit with our non-fatal shooting unit so that we could have specialization there, understanding that 80% of homicides are by gun. So there's a lot of very positive things that can be said, and we should not forget the incredibly important role of forensics in all this. We still don't have our state-of-the-art forensic lab, but we do. In the DA's office Gun Violence Task Force, share our considerable forensic resources, small though they are. We share them all the time with PPD, all the time with the FBI, ATF, DEA. We crack phones. We look at cameras. We have social media analysts, just as the Philadelphia Police Department does. They have a whole team of social media analysts. We work closely. And this is how you get it done. It really is that collaboration. It's excellent detectives doing their job, but it's a whole lot of talented people. I mean, look, even the head of the FBI now is someone whose whole career has been violent crime. That's his specialization. So we have a moment here when there's a lot of talent and there's a lot of collaboration, and I cannot give enough credit to PPD for the excellent job that they have been doing in collaboration with our office and federal partners to solve more homicides.
And I'm curious if you've seen an improvement in the evidence brought to your office.
We have seen, the short answer is yes. It comes in two forms. Form one is you're seeing detectives who are capable, who are able to spend more time on each case. I mean, just think about that. And this is something that criminologist Anthony Braga talks about. Just think about the reality of having detectives who several years ago were assigned more than 500 homicides in a year. And this year they've been assigned about 220 in a year, okay? They are going to have the ability, hardworking as they are, to dig in deeper, to do more, to try to get that extra layer. It's that extra layer of evidence that often determines the difference between a successful prosecution and a failure, or an arrest and no arrest. And it's that extra layer also that often will turn a trial into a guilty plea, which has a lot of benefits throughout the system in terms of keeping cases moving and keeping people accountable in a timely way. So yeah, we're seeing that. But the other thing we're seeing is that the nature of the evidence has changed radically from what it was when I started in this field in 1987. We have cases now that are proved soup to nuts without a witness. And it's done with cameras, and it's done with license plate readers, and it is done with geolocation that is on the cell phones of the perpetrators, communications that are done that way. It's just a different world. And it is a world that keeps innocent people out of jail and tends to catch the ones who are actually guilty and put them where they belong.
And then Telemundo just wanted me to ask you about the New Year's celebrations, if you could just give us a little summary of the message. So I'll prompt it by asking, ¿cuál es el mensaje que quieren hoy para el año nuevo?
El mensaje que tengo es que no usen sus armas nada. No son para celebrar. Sirven su defensa, ¿ok? Pero no valen nada cuando estamos celebrando. Además de eso, no podemos manejar borracho. Eso no se puede aguantar. No vamos a matar a jóvenes, viejos, nuestros vecinos con armas ni con automóviles. All right, thank you. It's my best Spanish. I'll try harder in 2026. All right, let me see. Kelly Rule, Channel 29, Fox.
Well, what you'll see is anything, it'll be set up, if you're familiar with Made in America, it'll be somewhat set up like that. It's a secure perimeter. Everybody's getting screened as they come in. It's fenced off. It should be fenced off by now, but it's a secure perimeter, checking for weapons and things of that nature, and everything's going to be, you'll see cops in foot, cops on bikes, dirt bikes. We'll have plain clothes out there, uniform, or have our helicopter be up if need be, but we'll have plenty of resources out there.
And through tomorrow as well for the members, can you talk about, I mean, I know the numbers is kind of routine at this point, you guys are going to have to prepare for it, but can you talk about that?
Well, the mummers will be the same thing. We'll have a plan in place for the mummers, and we'll go to 2nd Street and do the same thing. So we go from tonight, come back and do the mummers tomorrow. As you see, Market Street is already set up for the judge's station on Market Street for the mummers. Most of the barricade, if you go up Broad Street, is almost set up. So Broad Street will be set up for the mummers probably before tonight's event starts. And then we'll roll straight in for that, and we're roll right into 2nd Street.
We'll see the sanitation traps kind of on the perimeter like you usually do.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Sherry Stone, Philadelphia Tribune.
Well, terrorism is real. It's a real thing. In Philly, as you know, come tomorrow will be Silent Night in 250 years. Are we a target? Yes, we are. Are we prepared? Yes, we are. So we don't have any intel that we have anything to direct hit for us or anything else, but these people look for any kind of big venues to make a mess of and what have you, but we are prepared, and as of right now, we don't see anything coming our way, but we don't know that as of now. But like you said, starting tomorrow, we'll start a whole year of 250-year birthday of America. So we'll have a whole year of, between that and the FIFA, what's going on. So it's going to be a whole year of us worrying about somebody coming here or not coming here. So hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Sherry, if you don't mind, I'll just supplement that by saying I have to tell you I've been extremely impressed with our federal partners, among others, and the Philadelphia Police Department with very, very close collaboration, not in the last couple weeks. I know it's ongoing, but there have been moments in the past when it was necessary to get together and to be very careful about what was happening in the city. I think every Philadelphian should be aware that everyone in law enforcement is mindful of this, is monitoring it, is using every resource available, and we all intend to continue to do everything we can to make sure that Philadelphians do not suffer any sort of terror attack. I'm sure you're also familiar with the fact that my office has not concluded its prosecution of a young man who is now convicted and is waiting for sentencing, and who was in contact with an international terror group and was testing out bombs. We will prosecute terror. We will prosecute it vigorously. And in the same way that our police department is going to be vigilant, they're going to be out there all night doing what needs to be done, our charging unit is available all night, always. I will be available all night, not going anywhere. I'm going to be in the area. So anything that comes up, we will be as prepared as we possibly can, and we will move as swiftly as we possibly can to protect Philadelphians. All right, Mr. Alex Gross, Delaware Valley News. Do you have a question, sir?
Just real quick, for tonight, for the concert, who's going to be doing the security screening? Is that private security, TSA, or the police department?
The security screening will be done by a private security company along with the Philadelphia Police Department. So they will be there, but we will have officers at the gate with them also.
All right, I'd just like to conclude by thanking all of my colleagues in government and in law enforcement and in this office who are here today, including, of course, Councilmember Jones, Sheriff Bilal, Chief Inspector Singletary, our team, our CARES unit directed by Tania Leonard. I just want to thank all of you because it really has been both a year of tremendous progress, but also a year of pain for those who have suffered terrible losses. You don't get to quit and go home. This is not a moment when elected officials get to say, oh, that's better now, so let's defund it. It's not that moment. This is the moment when you say we're doing something that works, and we need to invest in things that work. Yes, we have priorities in 2026, but could there be any higher priority than the prevention of the next homicide? Do the numbers, and you will see that this year, as compared to the bad old days of the pandemic, we have saved collectively, I mean all of us, including the coaches and the school teachers and the parents, we have saved almost a life a day in Philadelphia. Almost one life every day in Philadelphia. That is nothing to defund. That is nothing to turn away from. That is not a political opportunity to say, oh, let's make 30th Street Station really shiny, or let's put all of our money into something else. This city needs to become known as consistently safe, not chronically violent. Chronically violent, unfortunately, has been accurate in the past, not all the time, but over a period of decades, it's been accurate. That has to change, and that will change if these collaborations continue, if the investment is real, if we keep going there, Put the politics and the egos at the door. It will change, and we will be known as a consistently safe city if we can all work together. Yeah, we got some challenges, including in Washington, D.C., but we're going to overcome that. So thank you all, and on behalf of everyone gathered here, let me just say I wish you all a very safe, happy New Year. Thank you.
And congratulations on your re-election.
Oh, all right, we'll take that too.